And breathe, everyone. The most remarkable of cup finals is over. Celtic have won, and we're going to do our best to talk about it. I'm here. It's currently 7 a.m. in Melbourne. I've been up all night. He's enjoying his Sunday evening in Glasgow at some fine establishment with a wee beer, a wee Heverley. Stevie, hello.
Hello, my brother. How are we? We good?
I'm pretty good, Stevie. I'm not going to lie. If we hadn't have won that penalty shootout, I may not have been feeling quite as good, but we did it. I guess I'll start by asking you, how was your day been? How was your afternoon?
Real roller coaster, mate. I did, one of the ones where we're having a laugh and everything's all good now. But if you said to me during the course of the game, when Danilo makes it 3 each, you and Hamish are going to be having a wee laugh later. You'll be enjoying a pint of Heavily at the beautiful bar 91. You'll be sitting across with your good pal. I'd be saying to myself, well, okay, there's going to be some real drastic turn of events here to make this possible, because it just didn't look as if we were going to be the winners. But it's a final, isn't it? And you don't care how you do it. It's all about just getting over the line. It's all about just making sure, one way or another, you have enough in the tank just to get over the line and bring that title, the cup home. And we did it. It was a real... I guess we'll talk about the game. But it just feels amazing, Hamish, to be winning yet again, to be celebrating it yet again, and to be somewhere where I really, really enjoy doing it. With the people that, mean a lot to me, so brilliant.
I think days like today, when you go through the ringer, so to speak, make you appreciate the glorious moments. This may be a little theme during today's video, but I have a message from you, Stevie, at 5:10 my time. Don't know, what would that be? 6 your time. Gone right home if they win this. Sickening stuff. So you were ready to ditch the post-match reaction had those penalties not gone to plan. And to be honest, I don't blame you, because it was pretty nerve-wracking. What was the atmosphere like where you are? Are Celtic fans out enjoying themselves?
No, there's Celtic fans down a few blocks at a pub that we won't name. We know what I'm talking about, and there's a queue to get in. But I'm up again, the beautiful bar 91, where it's nice and quiet, and tend to come here quite often after a Celtic game, and it's fair priced as well. The pints are beautiful, but no, the atmosphere, walking back for the game and everything, I think supporters buses were all loving it, and you could tell, thumping on the window and everything. But obviously the weather's a massive part in it. We tried to do a video outside Hampden earlier. It might be the lost archives, and it was brutal. Giving Rizzo's Wi-Fi a run for its money with the signal, wasn't it? But it was, you know what? Doesn't matter which time of the year it is, doesn't matter what the weather's like. It's just so important to be celebrating another cup final win for the Celts.
Yeah, well, listen, it worked out all right, because you're now sitting down and you've got a wee beer, so your arm's all right and your health is good. Listen, how do we even try and discuss that game? I've been thinking since full time about how we go through everything, because I don't know about you, but that is like one of the most frantic games. I guess something that was pointed out by a good friend of ours, I think you're maybe with him at the moment, was the similarities to the Aberdeen Cup semi-final, and pretty identical matches. The Scottish Cup semi-final from earlier this year, in terms of, I think the scoring went the exact same way. Aberdeen scored first, Rangers scored first, we came back to lead, then they equalised, then we scored again, then they equalised. I know extra time was slightly different, but then it goes to penalties and we find a way to win. So it was weird in terms of the similarities there, but it was clearly more nerve-wracking even than that, wasn't it? Because it was a derby and it was the trophy was on the line.
Yeah, it was, and you could tell for minute one their fans were up for it. There's been, a few weeks, if this final was a few weeks ago, I think Celtic fans would have been in far greater voice. I don't think Rangers fans would have been up for it whatsoever. I think they would have been low in confidence, and I think obviously the wins that they've had in the league and the European results has been a big part of that, because they were, from minute one, pretty sort of boisterous mood for it. And I don't know how much of that had an effect really on the game. The fans can never really win games, we know that. It's all about the quality in the park and the manager's tactics. But I did feel, and people in the comments you might think it's different, but I don't know how our fans sounded on TV. but it seemed, again, like at Hampden, there was only noise coming from like one side immediately. And I don't know like if they got more confidence or they had found an extra like energy levels from it. But I certainly found in the first maybe 5-10 minutes or so, we really struggled to get going and get into that game. And I think that really carried on for the rest of the 120. I think the key was a really good, strong, solid start. We didn't really see that. And as a result, I think Rangers just grew in so much confidence and they capitalised. And the aim of the game was for them. They didn't really have a way to break us down. Their game plan was to capitalise on our mistakes. They saw that we play the ball around the back, sometimes slow, sometimes ponderous. And I think their entire game plan was to capitalise on it. And that's where they got the opener, of course. But that's what I felt, the start of the game sort of, that's really how the theme of the match was for the opening 5 minutes or so. I think I was dying to see us come right out of the blocks, flying, like we know we're capable of, but we didn't really see that, and Rangers grew in confidence because, I mean, they must have felt as if it was going to be a Celtic side that were going to put in a performance a lot like we saw against Zagreb, very leggy, very laborious and everything, and it wasn't the Celtic side that were putting in the start of maybe September, where they just came right out flying and they had Rangers rattled from like minute one, basically.
I thought the Rangers' approach was pretty similar to Zagreb actually in midweek, in that they were happy to let us have the ball. I think we had like 70% possession in the first half, and to be honest, throughout the game, I think if you looked at the stats, it was maybe close to 70%. So we had loads of the ball. I felt we controlled the first half generally, but I think they were happy to allow us to have the ball and then pounce, as you say, on our mistakes. And it was those kind of cross-field passes that were kind of under-hit. And you'll remember we got away with one earlier in the first half, the one where I think it was Trusty kind of sold Carter Vickers short, and Carter Vickers potentially with Hadji, did quite well to... No, it was in the box. Like, Rangers were right onto it. It was inside our own box, and Rangers had a chance and Carter Vickers did well. I think it was Trusty's mistake, but we got away with that one. There was maybe, if you're saying there's another one in the halfway line, it wouldn't surprise me. But then obviously the Greg Taylor one comes. It was a bit of a disaster. I could bring up your WhatsApp messages at that stage.
Don't.
Just on Greg Taylor in general, but it wasn't great. And Rangers had the lead. I think on the atmosphere, by the way, just going back to that, I think there's a huge part of it is that like we're favourites for these games, and I think we have a real expectancy going into these games. I think for a lot of time, like Rangers see themselves as the underdogs, and I think when you're the underdogs, naturally your atmosphere is better. You still heard the Celtic fans. I thought the Celtic fans were still great, but like you go into penalties, and we were really nervous about losing, whereas I think they were dreaming of winning. So I think that's a big part of it. Anyway, so we're behind at half time, and it wasn't a good first half. Brendan Rodgers says that it really wasn't good in the first half.
Oh, he's totally right. And just for the record, by the way, everyone, I haven't seen the goals back or anything, like no signal on my way walking into the city centre or anything. We've got a signal here at the bar, but I'm all looking forward to seeing everything all back and how it all played out. Had a fairly good view in the south stand of everything, but that one with Greg Taylor, I mean, it was coming. It's been coming for weeks, and I've been saying it. And in the pre-game build-up, I did say where my main concern lay. So it's not like I had daggers for the guy, thinking it was a personal, hatred or anything
crusade
of him. But the reason is I felt this was coming. I think Taylor's not been playing anywhere near well enough. And, against Hibs he was poor. I thought terrible against Zagreb and he'll get caught out a few times. And I thought, if he plays against Rangers, there will be something. There not only was one, but there very nearly was a second. And I guess we'll touch on the moment they really changed the game later on. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
But go to it now if you want, mate. Go to it now.
Really, the first half I want to chat more on, just because it was a real sickening feeling. It felt... You know what, getting into these games, right, I honestly do feel we have had such a great run against Rangers. Our last meaningful defeat was back in April 2022, the semi-final at Hampden. I know we even lost a dead rubber game in May 2023, it didn't count for anything, but I've always gone into these games thinking something's got to give at one point, because we can't keep winning, and the law of averages is basically in my head thinking Clement's going to get the better of Brendan one day. It's just how football works and cycles and everything. And I thought today was their day. And in the first half, I saw absolutely nothing from Celtic whatsoever to suggest that we were going to go in the better of them today. I thought everything's all just set up for them. Stupidity and name preying on a mistake. I thought in the second half, I actually said to the guy across from me that it's probably going to be another daft mistake and they'll be 2-0 up, and they very nearly were. But I think the change that I was crying out for in the second half was indeed Greg Taylor to come off. I thought Alex Valle should have been replacing him. And I actually thought Alex Valle had a really good game, especially in extra time. So yeah, get into that second half. I'm expecting to see Celtic cut out the mistakes and up the tempo and just get a wee bit of a grip in the game, because we know that we're certainly far better than what the showing was that we put in anyway. And then Taylor miskicks it. They've got a 4-1, and I'm turning round to my mate next to me, and my head's in my hands going, here they are, 4-1. And somehow he's been an absolute colossus for us in his Celtic career. Somehow Cameron Carter-Vickers manages to stop that single-handedly, and that, for me, is the moment that the belief came back again. Rangers squandered it big time, blew it, they dropped the ball, and Celtic from there on got a wee grip after it. We got a goal maybe a few minutes later, and finally we woke up. But that is the key moment for me. Rangers go and make it 2-0. Don't think we're coming back from it, Hamish. A 4-1 and they blew it, and that's going to haunt them for such a long time.
Do you remember in the invincible Scottish Cup final against Aberdeen? Aberdeen had a moment, and it was Johnny Hayes and Kenny McLean, and it was a 2-1. It just gave me flashbacks to that, given that it was the same end at Hampden. But it's funny because if you look at that screenshot for those watching on YouTube, I was saying it looks like Cameron Carter-Vickers is the attacker going through with a 1-1. It's a ridiculous situation. It's one of those that you out of context post it and say Rangers didn't score from this situation, and you wonder how the hell. I just thought at the time, like, that's going to get squared across and it's going to be a tap in for someone. But yeah, the second half I didn't think we started particularly well. The errors were still there. If you're saying that's a turning point, fair enough. Certainly a huge moment in the match. I thought there was a turning point soon after that, must have been a couple of minutes after that, when Nicholas Kuhn rinsed Yefty, who I thought he had on toast the whole afternoon. Nicholas Kuhn. I thought Nicholas Kuhn was pretty good. Completely skinned Yefty, and I think he kind of got to the byline and then put it across. I think Butland tipped it out for a corner, and nothing came from that directly. But I just thought that gave the place a lift. You'll know better than me because you were at the game, but I felt the place got a lift. And then obviously soon after that, again, we have the Kyogo chance at the front post, that if he just lifts, it goes into the back of the net. It's a good save from Butland, but we were coming, and obviously from that corner we score, and it's a huge bit of luck, really. And it's the second time Greg Taylor scored a goal like that at Hampden against Rangers. But well done, Brendan Rodgers, for keeping him on at half time, eh?
What a left back. You know, I never criticised Greg Taylor. He's been brilliant for us, brilliant this game, and see, everybody that was doubting him have got to be ashamed of themselves. It would never be me. No, actually, and that's the thing, look, you're a football fan, and you know, you can be irrational and you can be raging, and I was absolutely fuming in that first half for what I was seeing. Nowhere near good enough. And I thought Greg Taylor was a massive part of like the massive reason as to why we were down. But also as well, I'll give him his due, the midfield as well struggled to control the game. I thought if we're a Hashi up front and a wide man as well, never got going, and they were never in the game. So while Greg Taylor did absolutely annoy me, you can't just say it was all down to him, because we offered pretty much zero threat going forward. Didn't look in midfield, you know, as if we had a control in that whatsoever. It was a lot of incoherence more than anything. And when, you know, Greg Taylor hits that, it was like, deflection, and obviously it's went in past Butland. You'll take it all day. And I thought from there on that we were going to go, because I thought I always thought the first goal was really key, right, in these games, because Rangers got it. But I thought we were more than capable of coming back from it, as long as it was 1-0, because they had a game on Thursday. Their obviously energy levels were drained, and I think they looked knackered in extra time too. I think if we got the first goal today though, Hamish, I think they would have struggled to come back from it. It would have been another case of, here we go. But anyway, he scores that. Then what, maybe is it 5-10 minutes later, absolute magic for Dyson Maeda. Like, no, again, I haven't seen us go back, and I'm dying to get back home tonight and watch it properly, because at the game, Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Larsson, but at Hampden against Rangers, where he lifted it over Kloss, I think, and then just tapped it in a wee bit. But I think this goal was even more magic because it was the way that he takes that touch to bring it down and composes himself to rifle it past Butland. And I've got to say, see that moment, I thought, there's no stopping us now.
I think the big point about that goal is, and hopefully I doubt he's watching, but hopefully he wouldn't take offence. I think the fact it was Dyson Maeda made it so surprising. There was the element of Maeda that's the chaos, and that's why I think he's as well suited to this fixture as anyone in history has been, because it's a chaotic fixture and he's a definition of chaos in the nicest possible way, and we all love him for it. And he did that, he latched. It was really poor from Raskin, really poor, and he was the one who deflected the ball in for the first as well, I think, so he did his bit for us today. But Maeda runs on to that. Obviously the ball goes way up in the air, and you're bang on, having not seen it again. The touch from him, cushion touch, is fabulous. It's the kind of thing you would expect from Kyogo or Nicholas Kuhn. I'm not being funny, but when Dyson Maeda goes through with the ball away up in the air, you kind of think it's a half chance at best, because it's Dyson Maeda, and I say we absolutely love him, but like a kind of finish like that, a real bit of control and a clinical finish into the corner isn't necessarily what you think of Dyson Maeda, but it was fabulous in the way he touched it. And I think the finish is really underrated as well, because Butland's closing him. I think there's a defender on him as well, and he puts it right into the corner. So I loved the fact there was that chaos from Maeda to get in there and win the ball back, but then there was like immense quality, and he was one of the ones that I was kind of criticising a wee bit, because I think he's been off it a bit in recent weeks. I don't think he's been great. Pataudry, Zagreb, I don't think he's been playing as well as he had been. But you just can't argue with him in this fixture. I mean, Tavernier must just have nightmares about him.
You can never write a guy like Maeda off. He's a unique footballer. He thrives in the chaos, but he's also, some of the finishes that he's had against Rangers now, like, I think that's his third goal against them. An amazing goal against them at Ibrox. He scored earlier on in the fixture. Actually, no, fourth goal. Remember he scored that like mad one after 20-odd seconds last season. But he scored in the one after 5 minutes in the 2 weeks draw in 2023. And then he scored earlier on in this season, 3-0 game. And now today. So yeah, it's his fourth goal against Rangers. Like, that's quite significant. That's a good return from a guy that, apparently all he does is just like sort of run up and down, and he's got no end product, but that's what people say. I think those myths about Dyson Maeda are blown right out of the water. He's turned into a big game player for us against Rangers, and he's one of the players that, might have not been great against Aberdeen, might have been quiet against Hibs. Zagreb, after they get booked, did practically nothing. But he's a player that, even if he is in poor form, and you say poor, right, but Hamish, Dyson Maeda as well, for as much as you might want to say he's been poor, technically are not creating chances, the amount of work and the sheer the sheer pressing that he does alone to just win these wee small free kicks or throw-ins, they can honestly never be downplayed. He's so key to the Celtic side, and I'm telling you now, he's a player that no matter, see if he's having a 3 shockers in a row and there's a game coming, like we're playing Rangers obviously on the 2nd of January. See if Dyson Maeda has a 0 out of 10 against Motherwell, follows it up with an all-time Hall of Shame performance against St Johnstone, he'll still be one of the first names in the team sheet against Rangers at Ibrox. He is that key, and he's that vital to games against them that you really can't write him off. And you're right, it's not just Tavernier, their fans will absolutely hate him. And a place like Ibrox as well, well, they'll be now expecting to go for it. And there's going to be space in behind them now, because, they were playing very cautiously. They were playing a lot today not to get beat, and they were very safe. But see that game at Ibrox in the second, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but all I'm saying is Maeda will thrive in it even more, because they are going to push on. They'll be getting so much confidence from a defeat today that they'll be getting confidence thinking we're there for the taking. They'll push on, and Dyson Maeda will get so much space in behind them. So I'm looking forward to that one, but he's magic, he really is. I'm so super lucky that he signed for Celtic, and thank you to Ange for bringing him in back in 2022.
Yeah, love him, absolutely love him. So we've got the lead at this stage. I shared your feeling. I just thought thought that was it. I couldn't quite believe we'd gone from the despair of half time. And everyone else will know exactly how we felt. Like I just didn't feel it was going to be our day, like genuinely at half time. But we fought back and suddenly we're 2-1 up, probably with like more than half an hour to go. It was a hell of a turnaround. And then I just felt we let Rangers back into it. And it reminded me a fair bit of, I know we're doing a lot of reminding us on this video, but just the way you think as football fans.
I know what you're going to say.
What?
It reminds you of the League Cup final against them a couple of years ago?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
Good guess. I was going to say it reminded me of the Badr El Kaddouri game at Ibrox when they'd taken the lead and then we fought back to lead, but you still didn't quite feel that we were playing properly. Yeah. And obviously they came back that day and I think they won 4-2 and I just felt that Rangers were going to score again, and I actually put a message in our group chat saying Rangers are going to score again, I think, and then they did. Joe Hart, Kasper Schmeichel makes an unbelievable save from Diamandi, I think. Unbelievable save up to his right. It's going right in the corner, and then Diamandi scores a couple of minutes later. Which was just a slack goal, really slack goal. And then we are the team that, again, I thought looked the better as the game went on in the 90 minutes, and we get the winner through, or what we thought was the winner through Nicholas Kuhn. I think Arne Engels does so well to cut the ball back. Brilliant cut back, because I was just thinking when that ball came to him, like you could see Kuhn was on his own. I think one of the Rangers players, possibly Diamandi, slips. And you're just thinking, if Engels cuts that back, Kuhn's got a tap in, basically. It's still a good finish from Kuhn to keep it low, but I thought Engels, who generally I thought struggled, we can come on to the penalties because he was great for the penalty, but I thought that was a big moment, that assist. But then obviously, and I know I'm giving you a lot to chat about here, Stevie, but we think we've won it, and then obviously they go right up the other end and equalise. So it must have been crazy in the stadium at that stage.
Aye, and honestly, mate, like, see 2-1, I felt sorry. The goal that they made it 2 each from, I've not seen it back. I know it came from a corner. But before that, Scales gives the ball away and it leads to the chance that Schmeichel makes a great save from. And I turned around to my mate saying, they made it 2 each, but that wouldn't have happened if Scales doesn't give the ball away and it leads to their chance, which I believe goes out for the corner for the goal. And again, it was just like a carbon copy of the first. Rangers capitalise on a stupid mistake for us. But you're right, Engels makes... what an assist for the ball for Kuhn. Perfect sort of cut back. And from then on, at 3-2, I thought, right, surely that is it. Turned around at their fans, and a few of them, for what I was seeing, started heading away, because I think they must have thought they were on top. We've just got to go out of nothing, sucker punched them. 5 minutes to go, I think, and that's it. It's all done. 20 seconds later. Now, before the goal, I am screaming, and I'm screaming at the game, and whoever, if somebody watches this channel and they were in front of me at Hampden today, I'm really sorry for my whining voice right in your ear, but I was screaming for Czerny. As soon as he cuts inside, I was like, do not let him get that cross in. Lo and behold, crosses it in, Danilo heads it home. But I was fuming again at the fact that how Czerny, who realistically can only do one thing, to cut inside and either shoot across it. And it really, really disappointed me. Now, that was the moment, right? At that moment, that was when I sort of gave up. Celtic fan of the year here and all that. But I thought, that's it, we're done. Because I thought from there on in, they're going to get so much confidence. Their fans were well on top, and whether they had so much belief. And before you think I'm trying to give all their fans credit, at the game, just from where I was, everyone round about me had a real sinking feeling. Everyone shared my thoughts, because you know how after it you're rousing up, you're applauding, going, come on. Everyone round about was just utterly gutted. And
listen, I felt the same. I felt the same.
I just don't want to feel as if I'm giving them all this credit for again, they've got nowhere anyway. But it's all right to say you should have a lot of faith and you should have more confidence and belief in the Celtic side. And we've always said that, the Celtic side never give up. They're winners for a reason, and that's why they're where they are today. But as I keep saying, I thought at some point this cycle's got to end, and Clement, sooner or later, is going to get the better of Brendan. And I honestly thought that was it today. Didn't think we'd learned a lesson from the Aberdeen semi. And when I thought it was going to go extra time and penalties, Aye, it was just a pure heart sinker moment because I couldn't even watch 3 of the 5 penalties a day. Pathetic, but I couldn't.
Yeah. So it goes to extra time. Extra time, not a great deal happened from memory. And the one point I do want to make is as extra time went on, in fact, throughout extra time, I thought Celtic were the better team. I thought we actually looked quite good in extra time. Rio Hatate really came onto a game. I thought he was being really big player for him. Adam Ida I thought was excellent. I thought Ida was excellent when he came on in terms of coming to the ball. He very rarely gave it away. He was fast. He was strong. He was everything you want Adam Ida to be. I was delighted with his performance. I thought, as extra time went on, they were playing for penalties. And you know what? When you play for penalties and you don't win in penalties, you deserve all you get. I thought we were the only team as extra time went on who were trying to win that game. And I think we deserve what we got. And I know people sometimes say penalties are a lottery or a casino game is what Clement referred to as after the game, and maybe part of that's true. I've always thought, penalties are still a part of the game, and it takes obviously composure and all of that stuff. But I just thought at the end of extra time, we were the team who were really pressing to win that game, and they were time wasting and playing for penalties. Penalties are horrible, aren't they? They're just absolutely horrible,
sickening, horrible, and. The key thing was one set of fans were like groaning and dismayed that it went to penalties. Another set of fans were buzzing, and almost it was like a dream for them. You know what I mean? They were so up for it. And again, I'm talking about everyone around me. So people watching in the North Stand or East Stand might be going, what's this a day on about? But I'm talking about the people in the South Stand and about me, where genuinely, big Tony for Pod Tims was sitting a couple behind me. He's the same, so he can't deny it here. But people were genuinely groaning, head in hands and everything. And I could not see a way past them doing it. Even we things that it was up at their end and everything.
But when they beat us in 2016 in the Scottish Cup semi-final, it was at our end. So I was thinking that, and I'm thinking I'd rather have them at our end. But it's clearly we've got recent evidence of it not massively mattering. I was more concerned with us going second in the shootout.
Right. I also just thought as well, that's now 3 penalties in a row we've won at that end. Hearts in the COVID season, Aberdeen, and now that. So yeah,
I think Hearts.
Dundee United as well.
I'm pretty sure Hearts.
No, Hearts wasn't he? Hearts was that end, West End.
Okay, I'm thinking it was the other end. Oh no, the camera was round the wrong way.
Aye, that's exactly what it is.
Because it was definitely shooting into the right. Someone shouting you?
No, I think you might want to get this one. I think somebody's barged into somebody here. Oh well, anyway, I'll keep talking about the football.
We probably shouldn't for legal reasons. Incident aside, and working out what end of Hampden it was, I think they might have flipped the camera around because it was definitely the right hand side of the camera. Anyway, penalties were brilliant. The way we took the penalties was amazing.
Were they? I'll tell you, that's your word for it, mate. I only watched 2 of them. I only watched 2 of them.
Reminds me of the Spartak Moscow shootout when I just saw loads of folk. I always remember it. Loads of folk in front of me just turned around, staring back at me during that shootout. For me, this was worse because it was against our rivals for a trophy. But the penalties were great. McGregor's was Ida first, great penalty. McGregor's was great. Engels, really, I was worried about Engels. Probably wasn't the only one. Just had a feeling. But one thing he can do is certainly take penalties, and I think he'll improve as a player. Wasn't great today. And then Hatate's right in the corner, brilliant penalty. And I was petrified about Dyson Maeda because, again, he doesn't strike me as someone who would take a cool penalty, but it was just rolled into the corner. And obviously Casper as well making that save. And you wouldn't have seen it, but it's a brilliant save. It's a really, you get bad penalties.
I watched theirs.
Okay. Amazing. And totally, all of the horrible nature of the afternoon was worth it, wasn't it, in the end when that Maeda penalty went in? Yeah.
I only watched Ida and Callum McGregor's. I could not watch Engels, I couldn't watch Hatate, and then Dyson Maeda, I head in hands, and then next minute I hear the roar. It's the closest I've been to bursting into tears at Hampden in a good way after that. Like it was a roller coaster of emotions. It really was. I was confused, mystified, raging, angry, elated, again confused, and just going back to being elated. All up and down, all over the place. Again, that's great. That's part of being a football fan. But the main thing is just making sure that you're celebrating at the end of it. Well done to Dyson Maeda for having the composure to put that away. He would have been proving so many people wrong after it as well. Because like me, I just felt there was it's just I've not really seen Dyson Maeda have one of the moments. Like it was, but it's turned into a real iconic Celtic one. We'll be looking back on it, looking back at his career, and it's just one of the ones that could very well define it. That he was the man responsible for getting his 2-1 in the lead in a nip and tuck game. And he's been the man responsible for making sure that we've won that trophy. An absolute hero. So happy for him. Happy for the team. And again, happy for Brendan Rodgers as well, who him and Callum McGregor keep up that record of never losing at Hampden too.
And McGregor never loses finals. It's just such a... there's so much that comes from the game. And apologies, there's no way we're going to fit everything in. And I know Stevie's battery's dying as well, so that adds an extra element of jeopardy to all this. I just wanted to pick out Cameron Carter-Vickers because I thought he was immense as the game went on. I thought he was immense throughout the game, but what a brilliant performance, so aggressive, just such an important player for us. So I hope that doesn't go unnoticed. And obviously Casper as well was just a great goalkeeper.
I thought just a keeper on CCV. I said it to my mate walking out too, because at one point, we finished one point it was like Taylor, Scales, CCV and Ralston, and I think CCV is the senior leader in that back line, and I think he's head and shoulders above any of that defence that we ended the game with. Not to be snide, but he has quality compared to the likes of Ralston and Scales.
I thought Ralston was great, by the way. I thought Ralston was terrific when he came on. I thought Ralston was great.
Couple of daft crosses aside, yes, he did
okay. Crossing, but in terms, he was aggressive. He was
defended well,
pacey. I thought he was great, Ralston.
My point is with CCV, it was just it's a real seniority there with him, and he is such a real leader for us, and we're so lucky to have him. And if we maybe get another type of defender in there, don't know if we come out in that game, because again, my overall feeling is that moment in the second half, 4-on-1, and they could not get the better of Cameron Carter-Vickers. The guy's outstanding. Another defender would have probably shrunk there and probably made herself feel tiny. It's testament to him that he's just that huge for us as a presence. He's so imposing. The Rangers couldn't get by him, couldn't make it 2-0, and it's kept us in the game. And that's why we're champions, son.
Correct. And that fateful fourth penalty for Rangers once again, just like Seville. So everything is good. We've beaten them again, everyone. Rejoice in that. Another trophy. 119 trophies now. That might or might not mean something to you, depending on how you feel. And everything is well. Stevie, thank you so much for joining me.
No worries.
Enjoy the rest of your night, mate, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, Hamish. Cheers for the patience after the Hampden horror with that wind and rain.
That's all good. It's much appreciated, Stevie. Listen, thank you everyone for watching. As I say, we've not managed to cover everything because there's so much happening. Luckily, we've got the rest of the weekend. No midweek game, so we can spend ages chatting about this tomorrow. I'm sure you'll let me know what you thought of the game. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing if you've enjoyed this video. It's much appreciated. We do all our videos as podcasts as well. Chat to you tomorrow, everyone. Come on.